Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Without Context podcast. I am Decavolty, of course, joined by AnxietyLasagna and SharkyHat. And today, spurred on by a video that AnxietyLasagna sent me at like 11 p.m. one night, just looking at it like, yeah, I can work with this. We're gonna talk about our fictional crushes, so not our real life crushes. Ruby, if you're out there, um, but we're gonna talk about our fictional crushes.
Just to shout out the video that I sent to Decca. It's Childhood Crushes 4 by Emi Richu. All of those videos are great. You should watch them.
So we'll just start. We'll start off with, I guess, me. Sure, I'll start us off, because I'm gonna date myself immediately. Being the oldest person here. Um, I think the first time I ever had like an actual crush on an anime. Oh, there's a spoiler. On a character. Was season 2 of Digimon. Kari.
That's fair.
It's about the same age.
Solid, solid.
Yeah, I actually think she was older at that time. I forget how the timeline lines up.
Well, yeah,
But yeah,
because season
about that.
one she was Matt's
She
little
was like
sister, and then season two was like the time skip where they had the new squad.
I's little sister.
Oh, yeah, TK is Matt's
Yes.
little brother. Oh, yep, I remember now.
Yep.
Digimon.
Don't you disrespect her? I still got these hands.
Hi, Kari Kari Tai Tai.
But yeah, Kari was like my very first. I don't even really know what it was. I think it was just the combination of like, the bright disposition she had, the quite frankly, how weirdly attractive Gatomon gets after a couple of Digivolutions.
See, one of my favorite jokes about Digimon is the like fake Digimon evolution chart somebody makes. It's like step 1, the cat. Step 2, it's an alligator. And then step 3 is a fridge with a chain gun attached to it. And I'm like, but that is just Digimon evolutions. That's how it works. And it's like, this cat becomes the BDSM angel. It's like, it's a really weird like escalation.
I think Karina from Drawfee said it best. Is like it starts as the evolution line. If we're comparing Pokemon and Digimon, the evolution line goes Charmander, Charizard, Charizard with a gun and wearing pants, Professor Oak in BDSM wear, Ditto.
What the fuck?
It goes on like that.
I've only ever seen the Digimon movie. Never watched an episode of Digimon. I thought you were only allowed to like one or the other, so I was solidly in Camp Pokemon. So
I liked the humans in Digimon more than I liked the humans in Pokemon, and I like the creatures in Pokemon more than I like the creatures in Digimon, except for the obviously hot ones.
The humans in Digimon have something over the humans in Pokemon, and that's the fact that they're not stuck in some immortal hellscape at the same age. They actually age as the years have gone by.
And if you watch Digimon Try, you see that they're whole ass adults now.
Yeah.
And my crush only sustains itself. After that, I didn't really, because I quite frankly, after a while, I thought that got embarrassing for me, so I stopped having crushes on like,
fictional
cartoon characters, fictional girls.
Fake
so that I kind of like purged that out of my system really early.
I didn't. I did not.
But I think as I got older and found the type of person that I like as a as like the type of person I like, and I'm going to get a lot of but like Sam Manson from Danny Phantom, like that aesthetic.
Do you mean everybody's first Gotha GF?
Yes.
That is Shigo Erasure?
Okay. No, see, Sam from Danny Phantom gave you the goth girl attraction. Shigo gave you the toxic girl attraction.
Well, then I'll say it's Raven from Teen Titans Erasure.
Ah, yes.
That's fair.
Goth girls with dad issues.
See, Teen Titans had both. It had the goth girl, and then it had the toxic girl in Terra.
Yeah, and Black Star.
I'm right. Don't look at me like that.
I've never been more insulted in my life.
What's Starfire's sister's name?
Blackfire.
Blackfire? Yeah, she was the, she's where your attraction to toxic women started.
Toxic older sisters came from.
Blackfire over Starfire. But yeah, very short and sweet for me because I like kicked fictional girls to the curb very early on during puberty because I was like, it's kind of embarrassing.
It's just like
relate. Cannot relate.
Well, the thing is, they're back now as an adult, but it's different.
Yes, they're most of my fictional women that I find attractive come from Twitter artists, and that is a very very default style of artwork. So
that is a different definition of artwork.
But yeah, I can see that. Like being at that age that we were when like Pokemon and Digimon came out, I definitely can see it's like that kind of childhood like wonder. It's like, oh, you know, she's saving the world. You know, he's saving the world. Like all these, they're so cool. Like the designs at the time, you know, our little kid lizard brains were like cool outfits, and like, I'm not going to say it didn't influence my dress style for a year, but it might have. So
I'm not saying that.
I will admit, I went through the thrift store army jacket with rolled up sleeves phase in high school.
Oh no!
With the square like cadet hat with like pins in it. Like I went through one of those phases.
Oh no!
And that was so I'm still trying to decipher whether or not that was before my chin developed, because I have a picture from one of my yearbooks. I look like Ed. I have no chin. My chin arrived in high school. So it is. I saw it. I was like, "How do I look like fucking Ed from Ed and Eddie?" It's just like completely like back. But
incredible.
That's amazing.
I was looking up because I was looking up ideas for mine, thinking back, you know, who can I expose myself here on the podcast with, and then I looked at my desk and
never mind.
You know, Sailor Jupiter.
From yes.
Sailor Moon. You know, because when I was a kid growing up, it was like, oh, she's like the tomboy. She's the tallest of all the girls, until I figured out that tallest of all the girls means that she's 6'5" compared to the other ones. So I'm like,
better. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, you know, I thought she'd be taller than me, but I guess this is Japan, so that is probably a very tall female size. And her birthday is also the same day as mine. So,
ooh.
But yeah, she's great. I think there's the meme that goes around that I keep seeing. It's the scene from the dance where her and Mercury are like, "Can I dance?" And Jupiter's like holding her up in the air, or like carrying her because she can, like she's that tall. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something like I've dropped out of. I think for the most part, like you can like fictional characters to the point now, but I don't think I think we get past a point where it's like we know that it's just like, oh, this is just, you know, fiction, and we learn that there are real people. And but I can definitely see it's like it implants that seed, you know, where it's like, this is the kind of woman I like. Whether or not you find somebody like that is completely different, but that's the kind of what you're drawn to. You're drawn to certain aspects of them that you kind of learn, you know, beginning of puberty through, you know, middle and high school kind of thing.
It's very important not to make that your whole personality trait of like, why can't I find a goth GF?
No, do not make any.
Because you don't wash yourself.
Do not make any fictional property your lifestyle, because it's just, you become that guy.
Yeah.
See, from a feminine perspective, it's less about the like, oh, you don't have a big titty goth girlfriend because you don't take a shower. It's, no, you don't have a big titty goth girlfriend because you've reduced an entire person to the style she wears, and the size of one of her.
You reduce to the aesthetic.
Yeah.
and that
icky.
spicy dehumanization really makes the panties drier than the Sahara. So
Her
Yeah.
story is also probably what got me into enemies to lover arcs, because her past life in Sailor Moon, 'cause they all have a past life. If you want to get into the deep lore of Sailor Moon, uh,
Sure.
their past life from thousands of years ago, where they were princesses throughout the solar system. She was in love with one of the guys who's a villain in the current timeline. So it's like it's all of
It's
it,
lovers to enemies.
just all of it. Sailor Moon has a
Uh,
very complicated lore when you actually look into it. Like the American show was just like it's basically what we connected to. This is female Power Rangers in an anime form.
mhm.
But it's like if you look into it, it's like, oh, there's like this whole other like 2000 years ago kind of thing going on. And then it's like, and you're telling me this is her daughter from the future? Like, what's happening to the lore in this this manga series?
jeez.
It's like I didn't think it'd be this complicated. Why is this
Yeah.
Wikipedia this long? It's like I was like, it's like, oh, there's a lot happening in this.
Yeah,
Whenever.
I never got into Sailor Moon, one because I didn't know anime existed at the time when Sailor Moon was like the cool thing for
I didn't
people.
know that it was anime. Like, I think that's
I didn't separate it.
another weird thing. It's like I just assumed it was cartoons. And it
Mhm.
is technically cartoons, but I didn't realize like the style was so drastically different from American cartoons that it was its own thing. Like for some reason it didn't click until honestly like middle school, where I was like, other countries can draw shows too. It's not just America.
Maybe with Digimon. I didn't
Yeah.
really separate it.
And I was, yeah, it was just like one of those things where I'm like, I like how this looks. And then it's like growing up, you're like, these aren't American names in like the credits, or this style is very different from Johnny Bravo or Dexter's Lab. But then you see like similarities in like Dexter's Lab to animes with like the mech suits and all that stuff, and you're like, this hole goes deeper. And it went so deep, I'm still trying to get out of it. The age of 32. So
Well, but enough about semantics. Let's go over to Haley.
yeah, let's get Haley's first fictional crush before I gush
Okay.
for an hour and a half about Garrus from Mass Effect.
Okay. Do we want to
Yes.
go like chronologically? Do you want to
Yes.
go like what's embarrassing, or do you want to go with
Whatever
like what's
gets
been
us to
the
Kylo
most
Ren.
Whatever gets into Kylo Ren.
Okay, I guess I'll.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if you want Kylo Ren to be the end game, I guess I should start with the fact that the first character that I remember having like an intense, like hyper fixation crush on was Kyo Soma from Fruits Basket. Saw that show when I was
Checks out.
11 and was just like, I
Checks
don't know
out.
who this dude is, but I just and like obviously now that I'm a 30-year-old adult, it's like I don't have a crush on a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid anymore, but I'm just like my sweet perfect baby boy.
That's another
Um
important distinction. These are like once you hit a certain age, you need to stop.
yeah,
Like
so
Yeah.
I
you
Yeah.
know
don't
like
you're
I
gonna
For
cross
sure.
you're gonna start crossing some wires, and eventually you're gonna become a YouTuber and get in trouble.
yeah,
So
no. So obviously my feelings for this character over time have developed and matured as I have, but 11-year-old Haley was obsessed with this character. It was the first time I saw an anime that wasn't like Pokemon and was like, "Oh my god, anime can be this." And started me down what I call like the rapid descent into trashdom, which I think quickly followed up to the express shock of exactly no one. I was a big Zuko stan from Avatar: The Last Airbender. To the express shock of 0 people in the chat.
I cannot comment. I haven't watched. So
You haven't. Wait, what?
I haven't watched Avatar. I'm one of those people that have not watched any of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That is interesting. That is an interesting. That is an interesting turn your life has taken. I'm gonna step away from that before I say things on the internet and say the third major childhood crush that I think has shaped me into the person I am today. Harry Potter series Draco Malfoy. Duh.
Just has an
Checks
attraction
out.
to toxic men.
You're attracted to
Oh no,
toxic.
sorry. With the last two, but you have an attraction to boys with daddy issues.
Yeah, okay. It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because yes, because that also loops in like Loki from the MCU. It
And Kylo
loops
Ren from Star
in
Wars.
like Kylo Ren from Star Wars, which you can see have not one but two bobbleheads of him on my windowsill. I used to have 6, all unique, different poses. Um, but yeah, I think my 2 crush types as a young person were either like the very wholesome, like I wish I could live my life in this way kind of person, and um garbage shitty people.
Yeah, I also
Because I
just
also
Yeah.
was like
I've,
Jack from the Magic Tree House. I was like obsessed with
I've
Jack
also just
from the
realized
Magic Tree.
is your sweater a house on fire?
Yes, this is Bo Burnham's merch.
Oh,
It says
okay.
"Don't panic."
I was just looking. I was like, "Well, that house is on fire," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"What kind
isn't
of
it really
holiday
cute?
sweater?"
It's his merch from inside. So if you wake up in a house that's full of smoke, don't panic. Call me and I'll
Oh,
tell you a
I
joke.
got the character select screen from the best Ninja Turtles game, so
I have a Metallica shirt on.
Heck yeah.
for some reason that checks
Uh,
out.
yeah. I would should say like since getting out of so for me, I think my thing with not was like kicking myself out of crushes is like we were alluding to. At some point, you're just way older than the characters in the show, and it's like that's weird. And that happened to me a lot because I was just a generation ahead of like everyone else. Everyone else is like the cartoons that got really popular. But in saying that, I am reminded of the briefest fling of something that happened in a video game. In Breath of Fire 3 for the PlayStation 1. Uh, when you get to a certain point in the game, this is spoilers for a game that's over 30
20
years old at
years
this
old,
point, I think.
probably. Yeah,
30
probably over
years old.
20.
Yeah. Um, at some point, you free a character from like a stasis that they're in, and they revert to a human form and they're just straight up naked, and you're like, huh, what an interesting form there. And it's like you just see a naked woman for like 20 minutes.
Japan.
Okay, I can't have the reaction I just did because what is a key plot point of Fruits Basket when they transform back from being animals, they're naked, but there's strategically placed clouds of smoke, so I need to check myself.
Yeah. But yeah, that was something I just thought about because I was like there was something from Breath of Fire 3, and I like looked into it, and I was like looking at different characters. Right, that one was butt ass naked for a hot minute there.
I like how you're like
Clarifying question.
spoilers for a
Yes.
20-year-old game, and then you proceed to say something about it with no character names, no indication on who's who, and it's just like perfectly
Yes.
not spoiled.
When you say naked, do you mean like naked or like
Like
strategically placed clouds naked?
so this game is an isometric RPG, so there are no clouds to place.
But they're also like little character models, so it's like hard
Yeah,
to
it's like
hard to
that
decipher.
big.
Okay,
So
I
they're
was
like
sitting there
little
going, "What is this game rated? How are you guys allowed to play it?"
teen, I think.
T for titty.
Oh, so it's like okay, yeah. I was not allowed to
They're
play those kinds of
they're
games as a
they're
kid.
they're very like Barbie and Ken dolled, but it's
It's
still
still a
the
naked ass
yes,
person.
still a naked ass person.
So
And
yeah.
the other reason I am not saying a name is because I don't remember if this is the person I was thinking of. I think their name is Deus. They have like I just remember like a shock of blue hair and like a naked body, and they're just kind of walking around. And I remember the protagonist Ryu is just blushing his face off the whole time because of course.
I also want to cycle back to the Barbie and Ken comment. The fact that that song's not going to be in the movie, why even bother?
Why
I saw a
even?
headline and it was like Barbie. It's like Aqua's Barbie song will not be in the Barbie movie, and I'm like, then why did you make this movie?
Because
I mean,
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling
no.
looks weird with bleach blonde hair. Like this movie is making me like feel real weird about some of the things. It's like this Ryan Gosling does not look normal. Like he doesn't look human for some
Good.
reason.
Good.
It's like,
Ryan
but
Gosling very seldomly looks human
but
anyway.
like they dropped like the preview image with Margot Robbie like in the pink car and everything, and then like the following headlines were no Aqua song will not be in the Barbie movie, and Twitter's just like, then why are you even making this movie? It's like, then what is the point? So we're hoping to bully the studios into putting it in. It worked for Sonic.
And
So
it worked for Sonic. But I should also say that this character from Breath of Fire 3 was both an adult, and it was simultaneously an adult and thousands of years old. So it's not
the cheap
it's not the
excuse.
other way around. No. It's not the kid thing. That shit is weird. I'm looking at you, anime enjoyers.
I'm looking at you,
It's
Fire Emblem.
weird.
Looking at you, most shonen anime. Most ecchi shonen anime.
So, with our childhood crushes now revealed, let's talk about how our tastes have evolved, or maybe in Haley's case, not so much over the years. And
Do you want
I
me to
know.
just go ahead
I was gonna
then?
say
Since you
I
called
know.
me out?
I was gonna say I know Sharky's
give me-
just chomping at the bit to
just
talk
give me-
about
just-
Garrus Vicarian.
It's like just like with Haley, just like just spew the Kylo spiel.
Okay.
So,
Okay. In my defense.
Uh-huh.
In my defense.
this is finally the defense episode. Like you keep bringing it up, but now we're actually giving you.
We're giving you the open forum.
In my defense, I know Kylo Ren sucks.
It's a
I
space
know
Nazi.
this. I accept this. It's partially why I like him. But my taste in characters over the last, I would say, 5 years has definitely evolved. Obviously I'm still a Kylo Ren simp and a Kylo Ren apologist because I have to have my like small like tethers to my former self who was just like, toxic boys are gonna be mean to you, yes please. But I have found recently, after getting out of a really terrible like situationship, that no, guys aren't supposed to be mean to you when they like you. Like that's not what's supposed to happen. Like them being mean to you is not them liking you. So
Quite
I
opposite
like,
most of the time.
yeah. Usually like they're supposed to be nice. So now like nicer people tend to be my favorite. The joke now is my type is just like tall, lanky brunettes with glasses, and if that's the character model, like Haley's gonna be 150,000%
So,
on board.
Harvey from
Harvey
fucking,
from Stardew Valley.
yeah.
Harvey from Stardew Valley.
Didn't you just marry one? Like,
I did just marry that exact
We
kind
love
of
that for you.
person.
she married that archetype.
I married my archetype, okay?
She's living your dream.
Living my
she
own
married
dream.
she married her dream husbando.
I like in recent years, like I'm a big like Maze Hughes fan. Like he's my favorite character from that series. That's not like a child, and I have like this like maternal sort of enjoyment of like, we love a man who loves his wife and loves his child and is a family man. Sir Night Eye from My Hero Academia, tall, lanky, brunette-ish dude with glasses. What do you want me to do? There's definitely been instances. I've always also had like a soft spot for redheads, and that is purely Kyosoma's fault. But so just to prove how much I've improved as a person, when season 4 of My Hero Academia was coming out, all my friends who'd either like read the manga or had already watched the show were like, Haley is gonna be such an overhaul simp. And just purely based on his aesthetic, I was like, hell yeah. Plague mask, the general look of hatred, and like he wouldn't give less of a shit about me. Hell yes. He was mean to a child one time. And I was like, fuck
That's
this
it.
man forever.
That's it.
I don't know who
Disqualified.
you are. DQ'd. I'm done. And they're like, what about this skinny bitch? And I'm like, that one. I would like that one, please.
I want that trash rodent over there.
What about
Like-
What about Dabby?
I was
Yeah.
hoping to get through this without bringing up Dabby because he probably smells like the inside of like a burnt garbage can.
Yeah.
But I have to stay true to my roots, and like a dark colored, wears black, has issues with his father, burns like gimme gimme.
It's delightful. It's the Rolo.
And as far as I know, he's an adult, but I toe the line with Dabby. I also stopped watching the show because I am deeply uncomfortable with children doing things that I think are an adult's job and being put into adult danger as children. Plus, everyone thought I was going to be a big old Bakugo stan, and my favorite member of Class 1A is Tenya Ida because
That's out actually.
Tall glasses, brunette.
and he's dedicated to his studies, and I respect that.
I just a cursory Google shows that Dabby is 23, so you're free to simp.
I'm in the clear. I'm in the clear.
You're in the clear.
If I had to mark a moment where I felt myself pivoting away from like only simping for toxic boys was two instances. The first was when I watched Blue Exorcist for the first time, and I immediately was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a Reno Kumura fan," because I too in the like, ugh, the unwanted, less like perfect, shitty son. And then his brother walked into the room and spoke 3 words, and I'm like, nope, that's the son that I prefer.
One.
His brother, whose name escapes me right now, which proves how good of a fan I am of that show, but the brother was very cute in a like, you sweet little baby, because he's like 15 and I was like 25 when I was watching that show, so it was just like, oh, look at that sweet baby boy. And not to roast myself and kind of like out myself to the internet, I used to
Like,
be a really big Peter Baelish stan. I'm not proud of it. I have recovered, and it took watching the scene, spoilers for Game of Thrones, not that anyone cares at this point in time, when he dies on the show. The first time I watched it, I was very mad because I was like, nobody would be smarter than Peter Baelish. And then I rewatched that season, was like, fuck that man. That dude is the goddamned worst. And that's when I stopped simping as hard for angry boys and made my full pivot into soft boys. And now I'm a really, really big soft boy simp, like Harvey from Stardew Valley.
Or when
I
it comes
live and die for that pixelated man.
to D&D, just a sucker for the big idiots. It's like
Yeah, so D&D has showed me that at least the character I'm playing, and this might be because like I'm utilizing my character Ophelia to kind of work through some shit I went through in grad school.
sure.
Having like, when you're forced to just be at like peak performance all the time, like you have to be perfect, you have to be the smartest, most capable, most driven, most whatever in the room, and then this big, stupid, pretty person comes up to you and is just like,
and
how
then
do you say no to that?
launches
How?
himself into death.
Yeah, and launches himself into death. So then you have to save them, and as you're like, oh, I'm sorry for the inconvenience of having to like hold on to this person I know, and it's like, are you an angel? And I'm like, what do you say to that? What do you even say to that? So but that is also the fact that Atticus's player Charlie and I have known each other since we were in middle school, so he knows
Fair.
exactly what buttons of mine to push. So I love you, Charlie, but also go fuck yourself.
Charlie, friend of the show, occasional co-host.
Yeah, he's one of those.
Yeah.
He's great. But yeah, so I still will always have a soft spot for toxic shitty dudes, because I just the aesthetic. Like, how do you say no to that? How he's stupid and dumb, and we love that he's stupid. But I also need a Harvey who will literally be like, being married to you is just like one of the greatest, is like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I'm like, shut up, you're made out of pixels.
Homeless guy from Skyrim that you keep marrying.
Yes. See, soft
Go
boy
listen-
energy.
Go listen to the Skyrim episode to hear that story.
Yep. How I literally
Great.
printed out all of the possible options to marry and picked the one that needed a house the most.
I
Love that.
I think in
Anxiety Lasagna. I can fix him.
I think in recent years I've moved away from like fictional characters, but there are still some that like stick out as like I love them just as a character. One of them is Garrus from Mass Effect, and I'll continue to sing his praises because he's just the broiest of bros to you in the squad. And I
Mhm.
restarted the game when he died in the suicide mission of Mass Effect 2 because I could not go on without him. So I redid
Valid.
everything to get his
Valid.
loyalty mission succeeded.
Been
Um,
there with people before.
at this point, it's just
And
like I just have crushes on like just I have crushes on like real women now. Like Aubrey Plaza can punch me in the throat and I would thank her. So
We're talking about fictional.
my the possibilities with them are fictional. So does that count?
first off, weird. Second off,
Thank you.
I
All right, all right.
will say there's a non like there's a non-zero chance that that's just a character that they are portraying when they are in front of a camera. Even when they're doing like out of character interviews, they still have like a personality they have to portray. So
Yeah.
in that light, it's like when I simp for a wrestler, I'm not simping for the person behind the mask or behind the outfit or whatever. I'm simping for the character. Please
Yeah.
step on me, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. Or just the gift that is always shared whenever Jamie Hayter or Tony Storm's on, where it's just Eddie Kingston. I want that cake. Like
Um, but
the
anyway,
wrestling channel on our Discord is just me and Deca going back and forth. That's all it
it's
is.
great.
I fully cannot relate to the like my crushes aren't fictional. Like I fully cannot relate to that. Like I have a couple of favorite actors, but it's always because they play the characters that I have crushes on.
Yeah,
And like
it's definitely
while we were
that.
talking, I scribbled a bunch of fictional characters and I was like, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah." But I don't think I could name like 3 real people that I would be like, "Oh yeah, I definitely have a crush on them," because I'm like they're a real person and they have like real lives that just I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I don't even know Rhea Ripley's real name. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. Put that to the side. You go live your life in Australia or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, no, I think what like that make that connection in my brain though is the three of the characters from Scott Pilgrim, uh, Aubrey Plaza's barista character. I forget her name, but the one who has like the bleeping. He's like, "How are you doing that with your mouth?" Just because of her personality. And then Scott's sister, who's played by Anna Kendricks, and then Ramona Flowers, who's played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who honestly, congrats to her for snagging Ewan McGregor as a boyfriend.
Love
So
that.
I'm pleading the fifth on that. I'm pleading the fifth. You don't want to know my thoughts. She's great. I have nothing against her. All my ire is directed at Ewan McGregor. But that's a topic for another day.
but yeah, it's definitely been something that has like been less of a presence lately ever since I began relationships in high school. So
Oh no, my fiance had to fully sit through the entirety of Loki sitting right next to me.
You're just like this.
Anytime he was on screen, he's like, "You can react," and I'm like, "No, I need to be respectful to you." And he's like, "You loved him first."
You
I
loved
had
him
to see
first.
my first like date with my now husband was to see he hadn't seen Rise of Skywalker yet, and I had already seen Rise of Skywalker. So I had to sit there because I was like, I don't know this guy. I need to be very chill, and had to sit there and see Kylo Ren become Ben Solo and not outwardly react about it. And he's like, to this day, I don't know how you managed that. And I was like, I fully dissociated out of my own body, so I would be like, Ben Solo in his good boy sweater.
You made a Force ghost, and your Force ghost was like, ah.
you know,
Yeah,
the
so,
more
like,
the more we carry on this conversation, I've realized like our episodes are just getting more and more unhinged in terms of topics.
Yes, they are.
And I'm
Good.
enjoying it.
I could
I went
see.
from writing full ass Google Docs of like my stuff to just like, I'll do it off the cuff.
It's like, hey, what are we talking about today? First fictional crush. It's like looking at the time, and it's like, how much mileage can we get out of this topic?
I could
Whatever,
talk
let's
about
do
this
it.
for hours. I could talk about it for hours, honestly.
Yeah.
But
There's names on this list I haven't talked about yet.
but yeah, I think another thing that has happened in recent years, knowing Kristen, ex-girlfriend now, but still friends and everything, and I've mentioned her on the show before. We write characters together, and her fictional characters have kind of become like a big part of like my life and everything, because it's us putting aspects of ourselves into these characters. So it's like little pieces of her in certain ones and little pieces of me, and it's like I just think about them now. I'm like, I want to write like the book, with them, but it's like I'm also just like thinking about them, and it's like this is awesome. Like I have this whole cast of characters and none of the talent to get it out. So
I
You
do
have
just
the
write
talent.
fan fiction.
I got that email today. It's like, hey, somebody's added one of your stories to their favorite list, and I'm like, please stop.
All my fan fiction died with Quizilla, so
Mine is on fanfiction. I changed my screen name, however, so people can't find anything that I might have
Still
used in the
gonna find it.
past. But people
I
keep
out of
finding it. People keep finding shit from 2006, and it's like added to your favorite. It's
look,
like, man,
if it's
come
a
on.
rare ship, you gotta dig deep in there. Luckily, the ships that I'm into right now are still like hopping and popping the fuck off. So, but if it's like a rare ship or like a fandom that hasn't been active, like you gotta dig for that
Yeah.
content.
I think to Sharky's point, when I started playing a lot more D&D, and the characters I would make, some of my favorites, I've talked about this on the podcast before, I think. Um, I played Curse of Strahd with on a stream, and I played a little gnomish artificer named Yelakin. He's a little guy, and he ended up falling in love with this like 8 or 9 foot Goliath woman. um, and me and that player like wrote fan fiction to each other like while we were playing in the game of like, oh yeah, this is how this character reacts in this time because his literal like soon to be wife died right in front of him. That's fucking sucks.
I think I know everybody like puts effort into their characters in our group and everything, but it's like every game we start, it's just like Lindsay shows up and slaps down a character, and like everybody in the server is like, oh. It's like
Mommy,
Oh, it's on.
sorry.
it's like
Mommy,
that's
sorry.
the
Mommy, sorry.
that's the server's favorite, it seems like. It's like, how do you keep hitting these bangers back to back like this?
Some people are just blessed.
She don't
And
miss.
Lindsay is blessed.
She doesn't miss.
I will say, Lindsay. So I'm gonna be running Lindsay, Haley, and a few of our other friends through Call of the Netherdeep on and off, while Sharky needs some off time, which is
When I
what
finish
happens.
campaign 1, after the two and a
Yes.
half years of us running it, I'm going to hibernate as a DM for a long time.
So I'm running Call of the Netherdeep, and once again, Lindsay showed me her character, and it just don't miss.
It's just Lindsay dropping another character, and it's just like, God damn it, she can't keep getting away with it.
She can't keep getting away with this, but it's so good. Um,
Also,
but yeah, I think I think
Tiny
I also
Mando.
Tiny Mando.
I
I
bought one
think I
with the
also
little ship
transitioned.
things. So
That's awesome.
I'm just sitting here
I
playing
think I
with
also
Legos.
transitioned away from from fictional crushes to like they're still technically fictional, but I write the canon for them, so I don't have to worry about waiting 3 years for the next
my
chapter update.
fictional. Thing is, like,
Same.
there's never a missed update.
Same.
There's never a missed update if it's all in your head. So,
My maladaptive
Exactly.
daydreams are popping.
it's like you're gonna wake up one morning and you're like, oh, new chapter, and you just think about it. It's just like,
Mhm,
there we
mhm.
go. Get through the day.
See,
Um,
I just dug in my heels like during grad school, like before I met my now spouse. I got very deep into those like dating sim mobile apps, like mostly the Japanese like otome games, but there was one that I'm not sure where the company is from. It was called the Arcana.
Ah,
I think you
The
yes. There we
Arcana
mentioned
go.
held
this.
had
You've
my
mentioned
soul
this.
by the throat for a long time, along with
Were
a
you a
bunch of
Muriel simp?
huh?
Are you a Muriel simp?
No, I'm an Azra simp.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense.
Muriel
Azra.
was too tall and looked like so I get very intimidated by people of like like muscular bulky statures because I feel
Yeah,
like they could crush my head like a grape, and that's
you probably
scary.
could.
And his when I was playing, his story wasn't out. Like Portia and his story weren't out, but I played through Azra first, which was a mistake. Because then I couldn't enjoy any of the other ones because I knew what happened. I'm like, how do you go to someone else when you know what Azra did? But yeah, that story holds us because like I thought I was gonna be a sip for the villain guy because look at his dumb face. That
Fucking
no,
idiot.
as soon as when they said he canonically has a New Jersey accent, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah,
The
that's
last
fair.
thing I want is someone to like whisper in my ear in a fucking Jersey accent. Like you're kidding me.
There's
I
But
love you more than I love chowder.
I love
that's
I
the
love this and I love this podcast because it's like we're talking about all this stuff and I just like I'm looking at Haley and I see the degrees and I'm like, you have a job interview next week.
You have a
I'm
job
talking
interview with a congressman.
I'm
and
like
I'm sitting here going like, I once fictionally dated a vampire immortal Mozart.
I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, man, potentially two of us could work for the government. It's just like
2/3 of this
Yeah.
podcast right now be working for the government
I
pretty
had
soon.
to move these for my interview this week because I was like, I'll keep the daisies, but the babies.
I'm trying to add more background to mine. You see the pink bonsai tree Lego set that I've
Oh, it's
put
is it where
together?
the
Oh, it's
leaves are
cute.
made out of
Yes, the
frogs?
leaves are just pink frogs. So
Very adorable.
Um, so I think because you touched on the Arcana, and I was going to talk about how my tastes have evolved over the years, and quite frankly, I don't think they have. Because as far as the Arcana, I fucking love like I wait, I've said this before, and I forget her
Mhm.
name. The redhead,
Portia.
Portia. Yes,
Portia.
I absolutely love Portia.
Julian's sister.
Yes, and she is. Spoilers for the Arcana, I guess.
She's very cute.
But she is adorable. You know, it's just the evolution of my taste. They didn't hard pivot like yours kind of did. And they didn't yeah, they just kind of stayed roughly the same. Like I used to say when I was a lot younger that like or you know, most masculine people have that like if you could date one guy, who would it be? You know, even straight, dudes are like that. And I used to say The Rock. Before I learned he was a douchebag. We'll get to that later.
We'll put a pin in
Um,
it. We'll put a pin in
I'll
it.
put a pin in it.
Put a pin in it.
So I thought he was aesthetically pleasing. He's built like a fucking god, and he plays one now.
See, now I'm thinking if I had to with a girl, because I am
Mhm.
tragically
Heterosexual.
hetero,
Mhm.
only into dudes that I know very well and am dating. So
Mhm.
I'm only really into in reality
the
my
one dude
husband.
Yeah,
The
that you're
one dude.
technically not
husband
dating
sexual.
anymore.
Oh gosh. That is I don't know, because like anytime I like connect with a female character, it's like because I admire them in a totally like platonic or I'm like projecting onto them like Toru Honda, who is a child, but I project onto her a lot because I was like, oh, we have similar life struggles, or like Sansa Stark, obsessed with her. Sophie Turner
Mhm.
is beautiful and portrayed her really well. Um, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I've never thought about
fair.
it.
And
Never thought about it.
we already know Sharky's is Gareth Vicarian over and over again. But Sharky's also bi, so like, you know.
Oh yeah, that reminds me.
Oh,
Oh, oh.
he's
For our
he's.
audio
I,
listeners, he has stepped away from the
I think
screen.
he got a bi flag.
Are we gonna have a pride? Oh, oh, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got?
My bisexual pride satanic shirt came in.
Oh hell yeah! Nice.
I'll be wearing this maybe one day to work. I don't know yet. So,
Just in
Oh, you're
time for
gonna
the
wear that to your
satanic panic.
government job?
technically, it's something they can't fire me for, and it's also a actual government recognized religion. So
It's the government.
Incredible. Oh my god.
Um, but yeah, so I think also I just really love a strong character,
oh god, everything's wrapped up.
and as Dwayne the Rock Johnson became more and more prevalent in my life, I learned that he's not a strong character. He's a strong person. He looks good, but he's not of strong character in my opinion.
Mm.
It's
Um,
like the John Cena thing. It's like he has granted the most Make-A-Wish. Proud
yeah,
supporter of China. just just
yeah.
John Cena, why? Like you had one
John's-
thing to not do, and yet you did it. You supported the government of West Taiwan.
Ba-da-ba.
I'm still gonna
Yeah,
call it. I'm still gonna
yeah.
call it West Taiwan until the Chinese government takes me out one day. So
One of these days we're recording. There's just gonna be a laser dot on your head. I'm like, oh great.
It's gonna be like that scene in Halo Reach with Kat.
I'm just gonna be walking one day.
We're gonna be getting into an elevator and you'll just freaking die.
The Chinese sleeper cell
They're
is
just,
gonna take
they're
me
just gonna.
out.
Okay.
No, they're not. They're not gonna kill him. What they're gonna do is they're gonna like he's just gonna be walking to work or something, and this van just pulls up next to him and just like takes him in there, and
It's
then
just
we don't see him for like 3 weeks, and he's like, I love China.
they're
Actually,
gonna throw me out because I'm gonna annoy the shit out of them. So
sorry, Haley, continue.
I don't know if either of you will be able to answer it because through filming this episode I've learned that the truly unhinged one is me in this type of
Do that already.
topic. But if you had to pick like most unhinged, like out of pocket character crush,
Mhm.
like the one that you would like you
Mm.
wouldn't want to admit it, but I'm going to ask you to admit it on the internet.
fair.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of what my most unhinged one would be. Which I think my most unhinged was probably Baelish because that guy is just an irredeemable jerk and no one should ever like him, but that
He
doesn't
also
feel
spelled it like
unhinged.
weird. He spelled his name weird. That was the first red flag.
I mean, that man is a walking red flag, and at the time I just put red duct tape over my face. I was
So,
like, oh my god, red's my favorite color.
Sure is a way to put that.
I think another pretty unhinged, like ridiculous crush that I had at one point was like the concept of Lance Bass.
the
Like,
concept of like if we didn't like title the episodes like what the subject was, I would totally put like the subtitle for the episode, the concept of Lance Bass.
so here's my story about the concept of my crush
Oh
on the
my god.
concept of Lance Bass in the early 2000s.
Uh-huh.
Because
Let's take a
he was
trip to the way back
deeply
machine.
closeted man in a boy band. And my sisters were very into NSYNC, so I very much was not into NSYNC. But they were like, "Who's your favorite person?" So I was like, "Who do they like the least?" And they were like, "I think Lance is probably the worst one in the band," which is arguably inaccurate. I don't think they had a weak spot in that band. So I liked the concept of Lance Bass because it made my sisters angry. Where I was like, how
That's
come Lance
yeah.
Bass isn't featured on this track? It would be so much better if he was singing than Justin. It would like cause like blood feuds. So that I feel is one of my more unhinged crushes where I just like created the concept of Lance Bass as revenge for needing to be different than my sisters. So
I think the closest thing I have is I believe her name is Quetzalcoatl in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Or the big titty blonde one.
Yes.
Okay.
But even beyond just giant knockers or whatever,
So let me
like
describe the.
yeah,
She like wears like Daisy Duke like booty shorts, a
uh-huh,
black tank top.
uh-huh.
She has the like ridiculously sized drawn bust and like the sleepy eyes with like blonde hair with like rainbow at the end of it.
Yep. I was like, that one. That one's mine. Also, she's named after a an Aztec mythological figure, and I can't make myself blind to that.
What's the picture of the comic of the people pushing the characters aside and it's like the one goblin? That's my
The
favorite.
one couple, that's my favorite. That one.
It's like the one slouched over like character model. It's like
Get out
that's
of
my
here! Get
favorite.
out! Scram, you losers!
You.
Except you. It's
You
like,
You
said
wow.
it's a clown.
Me.
um God. I'm trying to think.
I thought of a weirder one. I remembered a weirder one.
I think it has to be Megara from Hercules. Because like she's obviously not interested, but it's just like I can relate to Hercules. I'd keep trying. So
See, when I was saying unhinged, I was like, all right, brain, give me what is one of the more embarrassing, like, stupid things we've had a crush on in our life. And my brain goes, hey, you remember Zant from Twilight Princess? The guy who you don't even ever see his face. And when you do, it's just Zant.
Zan.
Oh, man with like a fucking Ku Klux Klan hood.
Yes, we can put it like that, I guess.
See, unhinged. And I think that was also falls into the like mask thing because like Percy DeRollo wears the mask.
Sure, sure.
Kylo wears a mask. Loki has a dumb, stupid helmet, like
Spiky, dumb horned helmet. Yeah,
dumb horned helmet.
Why is this man wearing a grand wizard hood?
that's what I said. That's what I said.
See, that's what I mean by unhinged. Unhinged, like what's something stupid? Like I remember, everybody, like most girls I know, it's like ladies or femme presentings or anyone. What was his name? Like Kovu from Lion King 2.
Oh yeah, oh
The
yeah, it's
furry
like hey,
awakener.
I'm
The
the
furry
son.
awakening.
I'm the son of the villain.
No, see, I guess if I had to pick a furry awakening, it was Entei in Pokemon the movie 2000.
He did. Yeah, I can see that. I can see.
Entei. He could do that like mind control thing, and my brain was like, this better not awaken anything in me. And unfortunately, it did.
It's too late.
It's too late. Thank you, Entei. Like I can't even catch like to this day can't catch Entei in Pokemon games because I feel too like
Weird.
remember that time?
Don't worry, Haley. You're among many of what people would call normal Pokemon fans. So
If that's
Uh,
normal, I don't want to know what unhinged is in the Pokemon fandom. I'd rather just live my life in bliss.
unhinged in the Pokemon fandom is giving Mega Baniri fucking leggings. They knew what they were doing with that.
God, am I gonna have
Or
to Google this?
Mega Lopunny, sorry, not Mega Baniri.
It's called Mega Lopunny.
Yes.
yeah, Game Freak's living up to their
Gonna
name.
wait.
So
Just gonna wait for that reaction here. Give it a sec.
like the
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew
like,
what they were doing exactly.
They knew especially the shiny version where they make her pink. They knew
Uh-huh.
exactly what they were doing.
Uh-huh.
They knew what they were doing. We see you. That's why you're called Game Freak.
That's
Freak.
exactly what Sharky just said.
yeah, it's just like Pokemon evolutions over the last few years have been getting surprisingly human lately. So
I will say, if I had to pick a person that I ever had a crush on, I think I liked Tracy from. I think he was from Johto League. who had the Eevee with like the scruffy weird hair. Was it the Pikachu that had the scruffy hair, so you could tell it between Ash's Pikachu and Tracy's Pikachu?
Yeah.
He just came across like less of an arrogant asshat compared to Ash, that I was just like, I know your name is Tracy, and that's like, but he felt like he would give nice hugs, and childhood Haley was like, yeah, I would like to get a hug. Also, had I been born a boy, one of the names my family was considering naming me was Brock. And can you imagine how cool I would have been in the 90s if my name was fucking Brock?
They should have did it anyway.
I know.
Cowards.
Now I'm stuck with the boy spelling of Haley and not even Brock.
Legally, this is just Haley. Like legally, my name is Haley, but my friends just call me Brock.
My friends just call me Brock.
Don't you want a jelly donut? Pulls out a fucking rice ball.
Yeah, the bad like English translations. Would you like a jelly donut? And it's just a Japanese rice ball.
It's an onigiri.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn this handy dandy frying pan into a drying pan. That's send. That's a full send.
That gets me every time.
My favorite thing is when they introduce Brock's dad, and it's like he looks exactly the same with like the closed eyes. And somebody, I think it was like a quote from Ash. Is like, "How do you know this is your dad?" And I'm like, I need to find the comic. I don't remember what's said, but it's like they look exactly the same, and Ash is confused to who it is. It's like, oh, what the fuck, Ash? You fucking. This is why you can't win any leagues.
I'm trying to think if there's been any like recent fictional crushes that I've had. Like most of the media I've been consuming hasn't like elicited crushes in me, but
Your primary crush is your friend's D&D character at this moment.
that is my D&D character's crush, not mine. That's Ophelia's crush, not Haley's. I feel like if Haley ever met Atticus, I would just be like,
"Quit trying to kill
buddy,
yourself."
I don't know what the fuck is up, Kyle, but it's about to be my fist up yo ass. But
I'm gonna call you a Muppet.
call you a Muppet, Atticus Rose. No, I think Haley would find Atticus a little too like self-deprecating and quick to unaliving himself for the sake of other.
Yeah. Oh.
To be like, look, I'm not here to be mom or your babysitter, but Ophelia is absolutely
Oh boy.
there.
I think most of go
first like really intense fictional crush I remember, which is Kyosoma. Watching it as an adult now, Hattori Soma.
I'm probably gonna cut out the last 30 seconds because my internet just like shit the bed and all the audio got fucked from you guys.
I saw, yeah.
Oof.
So
I saw you freeze for a second. I was like, oh no.
I don't know what's been going on, but I've been getting like no internet reception.
All right,
It's been...
we'll do a white.
We can end it awkwardly. We can end it awkwardly, like
we are at the hour mark. So
I was gonna say we can like do a wipe here and then just go into Haley's last point and then wrap up from there.
Yeah.
Oh no, we don't even need to bring up Hattori. We don't need to talk about how I simp for another doctor.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Without Context podcast. Oh, they froze.
There.
They froze that.
You guys.
You said you froze again?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we need to end. I don't know what's happening, but Discord's shitting.
No worries. We'll just that's how Emirichu's video ended, so we could just say like shout out Emirichu for your flawless ending of your video, which is it just ends.
Shout out Emirichu. Just in case Sharky doesn't freeze up, thank you for watching this episode. If you liked it, hit a like, comment down below. What were your childhood crushes? Out yourselves, I dare you.
Let us roast you in the comments.
I will absolutely roast you in the comments.
I'll validate you.
Yeah, see, you got the good cop, bad cop. So if you like what we're doing here, you can always subscribe. You can see all of our socials down below in the description. And this has been the Without Context podcast. You guys have a wonderful day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.